Are you looking for a fresh perspective on the everyday challenges of family life? Join us for candid conversations and unexpected insights that will change the way you think about parenting. It's all about unlocking new possibilities and finding joy in the journey. So, subscribe now and be part of the conversation. Hi there, my name is Steph, and today we'll be talking about how to become a better parent. Are you currently married or you in a dating or courting relationship? Now is the time to arm yourself with tools that would make you become better parent. In this marital journey, a lot of people actually plan for the wedding and all that, and also during the wedding they're asked how many kids they want to have, and some say five, some say two or one. Well, one thing most people fail to do is actually prepare to become parents. A lot of people just stumble into parenting because, oh, probably they were pregnant before marriage and they had to do it. Or they had their mother come in to do this omugo. That's this Nigerian traditional thing that mothers do when their parent, their daughters just give birth. So a lot of people, a lot of men literally had no idea. Some people didn't even have fathers to mold them into becoming better parents. So now is actually the time you need to prepare yourself to become parent before truly becoming parent. So today we'll be talking about understanding your child. So that's the first point we have here, understanding your child. While many of us can listen, truly listening with undivided attention can actually be challenging. Active listening goes beyond just hearing words. To do this, you must understand and reflect on what is being said. It involves grasping the emotions behind them. This skill is invaluable in connecting with your child, especially during tough moments. Empathy is something that is very crucial and serves as a bedrock for effective parenting. It's not just about sympathizing with your child struggles, but genuinely understanding how they feel. If your child is faced with bullying, for instance, a lot of people just sympathize with the child, with their children, and say, "Oh, sorry about." But when you want to be for you to be empathetic towards that child or towards your child, you have to place yourself in your child's shoes and say things like, "That must make you feel really bad." Then you prefer advice to them or how better way to overcome that bully or that situation. So offering sympathy might seem comforting, no doubt, but can inadvertently disempower your child. So instead of doing that, just it's better to empathize with your child. This way, you acknowledge their emotions and you foster resilience and trust. And you arm them to become better people to overcome that situation. So, recognizing the unique needs of your child's developmental stage is vital. Whether they are in early childhood, middle childhood, or adolescent, each phase demands a tailored approach. So you need to understand the nuance. Need sorry, understanding this nuance can be challenging, especially when our own perspective clashes with their evolving identities. So, for instance, trying to understand why a teenager would prioritize peer relationships over personal achievement can be challenging for parents who view identity formation primarily through personal achievement. I know a lot of us can relate with that. It's adolescents often see validation and acceptance from their peer groups. The peer groups shaping their identities through social connections rather than personal accomplishment. These differences in perspective leads to misunderstanding between parents and teens. So, to bridge this gap, what we need to do is delve further into research from developmental psychology, which would help us provide valuable insight into normal processes of adolescent identity formation. You would understand the nitty gritty involved in their stages of formation. You would understand their perspective of life. You won't be seeing their life through your own lenses. So, by gaining a deeper understanding of these psychological theories, parents can better support their teens during this critical stage of development, fostering empathy and communication within the family dynamics. So, now we're going to go deeper into what it takes to actually understand your child, recognizing their needs. That's number one. Understanding our children's needs lays the groundwork for effective communication and connection. By demonstrating our attentiveness to their needs, we're able to convey our care and support for them. This sense of being understood and supported is crucial in guiding them through life's challenges. Guidance plays a pivotal role in parenting. This way, you're ensuring that every task or request that we make for our children, to our children rather, they are able to accomplish the task correctly on the first attempt. Research in child development has actually highlighted the importance of setting them up for success from the onset. It says that repetition of this pattern actually leads to learning. So if the task is done wrong, it is actually stored on the child's short term memory until the child is instructed to do it again correctly. Just imagine, you know, when you're raising a toddler or an infant and you can, let's say a toddler for instance, and they want to either color or hold their coloring pen to color. And the very first time you put the pen in their hand, how do you do it? Do you set them up for success? Do you put the pen correctly in their hand the first time? If you set it wrongly, by default, whenever they hold the pen, they want to hold it that way. It's going to take extra, extra attempt for them to remember, oh, this was what mommy taught me, or this was what daddy taught me, this was what Nana taught me, how to hold it correctly. So, developmental researchers are advising us that it's better to set our children up for success right from the onset. So, better understanding of our child can help with making tasks easier for them. So, for instance, okay, scratch that. Better understanding of our child can help with making tasks easier for them. An example of changing a task to better suit the ability of your child is actually found in Coursera's cognitive developmental test. So that researcher in his experiment, what he did was on conversations revealed that children of different ages struggled to grasp the concept due to the irreversible changes in object shape. Consequently, he devised modified conversations tasks suitable for varying age groups, ensuring developmental appropriateness. In essence, what this researcher actually did was he was he understood that from his research, he understood that when he changed the situation of a task that the children were used to, they got confused. They didn't So that way they were able to better understand the new concept he was trying to pass along to them. Yeah, so all I'm trying to say is you have to be able to guide your children aright and set them up for success. So by recognizing and accommodating our children's need, we empower them to thrive and succeed in their endeavors. So we can only do this by actually understanding them, knowing, okay, who is this child and how can this child succeed? And how can I help this child succeed? Easier tasks are more likely to lead to tasks done correctly on the first attempt. And what this does is actually it increases the child's self esteem. Remember, you have to be doing age appropriate tasks. If you want to set your toddler up for success, you're not going to give your toddler a task of going to go and cook or going to go and your toddler probably 2 years old and 3 years old. You're not going to tell them to go and make sandwich for themselves. What you'll be telling them to do it an appropriate task for that age would be, hey, pick up after you. Clear up your toys. It's time to clear up your toys. Clean up after you. Pick them up. Pick them up. That way you're setting them up for success. Those are things that they can do. You get? They're things that they can do. And what it does, it increases your child's self-esteem. And that way you're able to track the development of your child through attempting similar tasks at different ages. Now, how do we understand our children and what are factors that actually influence this understanding or level of understanding? Number one, it includes our upbringing. What most parents try to do is they compare their past experiences to present day situations, and this leads to unrealistic expectations. You need to always remember that our children are their own individuals with different environments to the ones that we were brought up in. Another point is we must take into account individual differences between children and their personal experiences. You need to know that every child is different. Every child is unique, even though they are birthed from the same womb, fostered or raised in the same household, and they ate the same meal and did the same tasks. They are different. They have different emotions. They have different changes and mood swings. So, an understanding of our children's needs can be seen as simply knowing what is best for them. This will more often than not provide us with tools to meeting their needs. For instance, if a child needs help with tying their shoelaces, most parents come to recognize the child's shoelaces are constantly becoming undone, and this experience is causing frustration for the child. Now, what's the right thing to do? It is in the best interest of the child that you actually teach the child how to tie his or her shoelaces in a way that will prevent them from coming undone. By recognizing the instance and carrying out the right action, parents they have you get actually get to fulfill your child's need and prevent further frustration. This in turn will increase the child's self esteem and promote independence due to being able to complete the tasks alone without needing reminder from the parent. If you've been a parent, or if you've been aunties or uncles, or if you've been around children, you will see that you would actually see that there are times the toddler wants, no, 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 I want to do it myself. I don't need your help. Just tell me what to do. That's a cue to letting you know that you can set them up for success and set them up to be independent. And they actually want it. They want it. So, by prioritizing our children's needs and taking appropriate actions to empowering them to thrive is actually very important for their well being. So, deal on understanding your child. The second point we'll be discussing would be is rather developing empathy and active listening skills. We've said every child is unique with their individual needs shaped up by their personalities and experiences. Although there are general categories of needs that all children have, such as the need for love, hugs, food, shelter, and so on, child is actually unique with specific needs based on their personality. An important part of understanding your child is narrowing down on that need, recognizing and understanding those specific needs. Needs can be viewed as a disparity between what they have presently and what is desired. So, in terms of your child behavior, it can be anything from just a child needing a drink to a scared child needing reassurance. So, each behavior that your child exhibits, there is an underlying need that a child is trying to meet. The more a parent can recognize the need behind each child's behavior, the more effective he or she can meet those needs. This often results in a decrease in inappropriate child's behavior that is often a result of the child trying to get the need met in an unproductive way. So, for instance, my daughter, she throws tantrums sometimes when she is not able to color probably the eyes of an animal on her coloring book, and she's trying to get it. But the next thing she starts to shout and she has to make this kind of noise, and I'm like, oh, what is going on? What is going on? So, what we actually need to do is actually find the root cause of that tantrum. Why exactly is she crying? So instead of just pacifying her and tell her and you tell her don't cry, she was for that moment, and when she goes back to her coloring book, occurs again because that need has not been met. So by actually showing her or helping her or leading her or telling her this is how to color elephant's eyes, you've actually met that need. I hope you understood that. I hope you understood that. So observing your child's behavior, emotions, and challenges provides vital cues to whether their needs are being met. Understanding the root cause of a situation would help with those behavioral changes and all that. So by honing empathy and active listening, parents you get to forge stronger connection with your child. This helps to foster an environment where needs are understood and met with compassion and insight. The third point on this list is understanding their developmental milestones. When we understand these developmental milestones, we are less likely to misinterpret childish or adolescent behaviors and to react to our child in inappropriate ways. Unfortunately, what we see is many parents do not have an accurate understanding of their child's developmental capacity. Often expect children to be little adults, which can lead to unrealistic expectations and much frustration on the part of both parent and children. Others may not realize the unique and often predictable challenges in a stage, viewing their child's behavior as abnormal or as something that just started, when in reality, it is typical for that age. So, for instance, a toddler gets to an age where if they want to, I'll use the word just cover everything. Everything is theirs. You hear them saying, "It's mine, 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 my mommy, my daddy, my baby, my car, my you." You get everything is theirs, right? Belongs to them, and anything they like belongs to them. But that's what a lot of parents do is they start to scold their children and try to stop them from saying that. But that's a developmental milestone. You see that as they grow older, they leave that phase and get into something else. You get they are not able to tell you, "Hey, daddy, this is yours. This is for mommy. This is for A. This is for Z." They move to another developmental phase of their life. So when we get to understand these behavioral changes associated with developmental stages, that we were able to better understand our children and prefer the need and the love, the care they need for that particular phase. Another thing to note here is that children develop differently in even in different phases of the developmental stages, or rather, let me see that again. So even though a child or is in the same developmental phase, they develop they or they behave differently. So we need to come to an understanding of how our children behave. Some children are actually slow to pick up on things, while others are very quick to pick up on things. So we need to understand the pace our children are developing at, rather, and let's try to work with them in that their current phase or at their level. So for instance, 3 years olds are not able to sit still for a very long time, and 9 year olds are rarely able to think through the consequences of their actions beforehand. So in each case, we need to understand the developmental stages. We need to understand that developmental stage can help us adjust our expectations and be more patient with our children. On the next tip to becoming a better parent, we'll be discussing effective communication techniques. Effective communication is not always clear and concise. It can be marked by unhealthy dialogue, frustration, and contradictory messages. These communication roadblocks occur between the most well meaning parents and their children and ends up hindering an array of positive parent childhood interactions. So, we're going to talk about four types of communication roadblocks. And number one is placating. This involves saying insincere or superficial pleasant things to avoid addressing honest feelings. It often stems from a belief that one's feelings are not valid or worthy of expression. The next roadblock is distracting. Both parents and children use distractions to actually evade discussing difficult topics, preferring to change the subject. Number three on the roadblock is irrelevant communication. What this does is, or rather, this happens when communication becomes confused or confusing, such as when a child expresses self deprecating remarks like, I'm stupid, I can never do anything right, after being reprimanded for bad behavior. And the fourth on the list of roadblock is commanding. This involves using authority or logic to issue orders rather than engaging in empathetic dialogue. It lacks consideration of the other person's feelings and needs. So, all these roadblocks have one thing in common: they express lack of empathy. So, by recognizing and avoiding these roadblocks, parents can. So, all these roadblocks have one thing in common: they express the lack of empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and be aware of another person's feelings and needs, and is the key to overcome these roadblocks. But it is not necessarily always in agreement, being in agreement with the person, but rather, or the child rather, it's a genuine effort to comprehend the other person's perspective. So by recognizing and avoiding these roadblocks, parents can significantly improve communication with their children. Encouraging open dialogue is a fundamental technique that hinges on removing these barriers and fostering a respectful and honest relationship. This technique is particularly effective when children need to make decisions. Parents should create an environment where children feel comfortable enough to express themselves and seeking permissions for unconventional ideas or behaviors. It's important that our child is given the chance to feel that they can communicate anything, and that their parents would understand and respect the child's communications, sometimes ways of asking for permissions to express overly rebellious behavior. Like, for instance, if your child says, I have to write a report on photography for history, and asks you, can I do it on wall photography instead? It may very well be an indirect way of saying, I think I actually like wall photography, and I think it's cooler. When the permission is granted, parents must lend patient ears and encourage children to say what is on their minds about situations and problems, and they should be ready to involve them in family decisions. This open dialogue will allow for continuous gathering of information on your child's feelings and concerns, preventing misunderstanding and keep small problems from growing into bigger scary ones. So, we're gonna go into different subtopics that would help effective communication techniques and further break those barriers that hinder effective communication. So, number one is encouraging open dialogue. We as parents, we need to be approachable, yet be able to be aware of our child's true feelings. Children tend to suppress their true emotions or thoughts of fear for disapproval. So we need to make them feel comfortable that they know that every viewpoint is worthy of expression, and that any viewpoint that is expressed is not an invitation for punishment or a withdrawal of love. If our children are able to say anything to us as parents and we don't understand what they're saying, we need to ask them to explain it. This allows the child to clarify their thoughts and feelings. So, if a child senses a sense of negative emotion in their parent, the question may invoke a dishonest response to avoid conflict with their parent. So, in that case, what the parents should do is not, like I repeat, not to actually express negative feelings. So you have to really be an actor here. If you want to actually get the truth and actually know how your child feels about any perspective. So the best way to encourage open dialogue is to first be a good listener. You listen by making good eye contact, smiling, responding, and asking for follow-up questions. As parents, we have busy lives. This day and age, time and patience is actually luxurious, but it's important. Now, when our children, when they have something in their mind, they need to know that they have their parents' undivided attention. Therefore, it is sometimes necessary to arrange a specific time to talk where there are no distractions or time constraints. So, those moments where you have playtime with your child, or you want to go while driving to the gym with your children, or that specific child, that's the right time to have those heartfelt conversations. And that way, you're giving room so your children don't feel judged. You get, they don't have that judgmental look on them, hovering over them. You get, they're able to be very open to you. So, on the same note of effective communication, we're talking about harnessing the power of positive reinforcement. How often do you reinforce positivity to your children? Positive reinforcement is a powerful tool for shaping children's behavior just as it is with adults. However, it effectively hinges on the sincerity and perceived value of the praise or reinforcement provided. When children feel genuinely appreciated and capable, the impact of reinforcement is internalized lasts longer. So, one effective strategy is to focus on reinforcing positive behaviors rather than solely addressing negative ones. A lot of people just tend to be blindsided towards anything good that their child does, and oh, they're at the top of their feet and at the top of their voice when they see any negative attribute. So we need to learn that reinforcing positive behaviors is the way to go. This can be achieved by lavishing attention on desirable actions while tactfully ignoring undesirable ones. Verbal and physical affection, along with creating an environment that fosters success, further reinforces positive behaviors. There's something parents do. What they do is they incentivize positive behavior. So for instance, when their child actually they do something good, or they clean up their toys after them, and they go to bed on time, or they don't cry, or they don't nag or something, what they do is they incentivize these good behaviors. So contrary to relying solely on this extrinsic reward like token economics, which involve exchanging points or tokens for prizes or privileges, a more sustainable approach involves intrinsic motivation. So, when you do the token economics, it only becomes effective for as long as you continuously exchange tokens for reinforcers as well as high reinforcement schedule. As long as you still have those tokens, then they keep behaving good. So they want that chocolate, or they want to have extra screen time. But once you've run out of tokens or praise, the desired behavior is likely to disappear as well, which yield to a short term result. And that's not what we're going after. Using positive reinforcement or encouragement can engage better behavior more effectively than punishment. During the toddler and preschool years, children who receive positive reinforcement have been found to be 20 times more likely to be successful in school. Yeah, that's for real. We need to learn now is to offer praises and encouragement often. While doing that, we have to be specific. So instead of just saying good job, a good job. Say, I like the way you picked up your toys. This way, your child knows exactly what you're pleased with and will be more likely to do it again. And this technique is actually very effective for children that are as little as 2 years old. While you enforce positive reinforcement, there is something you have to take note of: sibling rivalry. This takes the form of competition for your attention. Reinforce good behavior by giving each child positive recognition through special time alone with you. Little rewards such as trip to the park or new pack of crayons and praise. We need to try to catch them being good by verbally praising them or giving them extra attention or a very big hug. So For us to be able to communicate effectively with our children, we have to establish clear boundaries and expectations. We have to set those boundaries, they're very crucial. Creating a foundation of respect and cooperation with our children begins with setting clear boundaries and expectations. While a lot might believe that strict discipline and punishment are necessary for obedience, sometimes these methods often yield resentment and defiance rather than genuine cooperation. Punitive strategies focus on suppressing undesirable behavior through fear of punishment rather than teaching children how to behave appropriately. They actually fail to instill self discipline or provide alternative behavior for children to adopt in challenging situations, or it just inflicts pain. For your child to be able to cultivate true self discipline, they have to be able to internalize self control. And that doesn't come by through spanking alone. Where children learn to associate their actions with with their consequences and rely on their own moral compass to guide their behavior. This is where parents play a crucial role in this process by offering emotional support and guidance. To help guide our children towards positive behavior, it's essential to clearly communicate our expectations and consequences for deviating from them in every situation by setting consistent boundaries and reinforcing them with empathy and understanding. This will help empower our children to make informed choices and navigating the world with integrity and self respect. How do you set those boundaries? Let your child know that, oh, during school night, there is no screen time. But over the weekend, you can watch the television or you can play on your iPad. They get to understand that. And if a child goes and picks up the remote and turns the TV on to what their favorite kiddies channel, you let them know that there are consequences for those actions by telling them this weekend you're not going to have screen time. It's strictly study, study, study. That's a better way of making them to instill self-discipline, making them understand that for every action there are corresponding consequences for them and they should be ready to take up those consequences. We're still on effective communication to aid parenting. And the number four on this list is active problem solving techniques. It's important in in every stage of life. We have to identify and define the problem. Usually, children are upset over relatively trivial incident and unable to pinpoint the reason for their upset. At times like this, it's important to help them differentiate cause and effect from the general emotion. Since attempts to resolve the emotion without first dealing with the cause are a futile exercise. So a useful technique for identifying the problem is to ask them to pretend you're a detective, trying to find out what happened. It may also be beneficial in some cases to write down the problem. There are actually some common obstructions that hinder the process of problem solving. The first is confusing the process of discipline with problem solving. Whereas the former is a method of control, the latter is a learning process. Another obstruction is premature critical or moralistic stance. We as parents we need to know that the purpose of problem solving is to foster the development of critical thinking skills and help our children to identify and correct their mistake. But it is unlikely he or she will admit to errors at all if he sees it as an opportunity for condemnation. So, the early stage of problem solving are so precarious as children may mistake your well intended questions for interrogation. Lastly, on instructions to active problem solving technique is circumventing discussion and simply imposing a solution. This would deprive them from the benefit of the process. Okay, that they just do it and they get to learn nothing. It's important to discuss an objective solution with both you and your child are well but it is important that he feels that he or she has an input. They are a part of that solution. By considering these potential pitfalls and developing an understanding of the problem solving process, the following 7 steps can be used with great effect in helping your children to resolve their difficulties. Number one, define the problem. Clearly articulate the issue at hand. Number two, brainstorm solutions. You need to encourage your child to generate multiple ideas no matter how unconventional. No idea is silly. Every idea counts. Number three, evaluate the solutions. Time where you get to discuss pros and the cons of each solution, considering feasibility and potential outcomes. The fourth point here is choosing a solution. Here, you help your child select the most suitable solution based on their preference and circumstances. Five, implementation of the solution. Don't do it by yourself. Assist your child in putting the chosen solutions into action. Wait for help to be asked. Six, monitoring of progress. Regularly check in to assess how the solution is working and make adjustments if needed. And the seventh point here is reflecting on the outcome. Here, you encourage your child to reflect on what they've learned from the experience and how they can apply it in the future. If you incorporate all the steps into problem solving interaction with your child, you can foster critical thinking skills, promote autonomy, and equip them with valuable tools for navigating life's challenges. If you take note, all these points are actually crucial steps people take in incident response when it comes to normal life challenges, normal day to day work activities, when they want to resolve a problem. The same steps you use at work in resolving a situation is the same stuff you use when it comes to training your children. It's not different. You just have to be able to accept them and imbibe these tools, adapt them to help you, to aid you to become a better parent. All the tools you've probably worked with on the job, around on the job or around with friends and all that. Those are tools that can actually be modified to help in raising our children and helping us becoming better parents. Okay, so dive deeper into this conversation. And if you're still listening, now is the time to like, share, leave a comment, subscribe, let people get involved in this conversation. Let people become better parents. Let's arm ourselves with the tools we need to become better parents. It's gonna cost you nothing to just hit the subscribe button. Well, I'm waiting. Hit the button. Okay, let's continue. Back to the discussion. The top point I have today is building a nurturing environment. So, this is a third point on how to become a better parent. What environment do you have in your home? What environment have you created for your children, for yourself, for your spouse? You have to nurture a good environment. So, creating a loving and positive atmosphere at home, it helps the child feel loved, safe, and secure. So, the most important way to create a loving and positive atmosphere is via positive reinforcement. That cannot be overstated. This means acknowledging when your child has behaved well, has tried hard at something, or has accomplished something. Doing this will build their confidence and self esteem. Good job. I like the way you packed your toys. That's an example of positive reinforcement. Encouragement is also a big motivator for kids, which can be done through both words and actions. Hey, high five! Communicating with your child is another important aspect as it encourages them to ask questions, develop their language, and learn how to communicate more effectively. We need to always be receptive to what our child has to say and feedback that they provide. That way, they see communication as a two-way street, a two-way process, and feel that, yeah, what they say is actually valued. So we need to engage in activities like reading together. This is not just a love for learning for an early age, promoting literacy skills. Additionally, spending quality time with your child will foster a good relationship and create precious moments like going on a swim team together. You know, yeah, whichever way you can provide love, a loving environment to your kids, just do it. Child's brain is like a sponge, soaking up everything around them. So any form of environment, good or bad, will stick with the child for the rest of their life. The building blocks for learning begin at birth and are strongly influenced by the quality of the surrounding environment, the way that parent and immediate family members interact with children, and the way that they encourage their learning and development will strongly affect the child's attitude to learning, their motivation, and their eagerness to try new things. These are all important factors to consider as they shape the person that the child will become in the future. Still on nurturing environment, we're going to talk about fostering a loving and supportive atmosphere. This involves quality time spent together in one of the most beneficial ways to create a loving and supportive atmosphere. This way you are focused on your child without any distraction. It makes them feel very important and special. One thing to note is what's quality time to another is different from the next person. So, quality time together varies, okay, according to one's interest. It's important that an organized, planned event or something as simple as a walk or a talk should be done. What is important is the intention to provide attention to the child. This will result in the child feeling loved and supported. And this positive feeling will carry over to times when discipline is necessary, and the child will be more likely to accept and learn from it. Expressing affections through everyday gestures like hugs, a pat on the back, and shared moments of closeness reinforces the child's sense of being valued. As children grow older, verbal affirmations of pride and encouragement, along with thoughtful gestures like leaving notes or sending cards, continue to affirm their importance within the family unit. Another thing to note is implementing a structured routine. Establishing a structured routine for children is crucial for providing them with a sense of security, promoting healthy habits, and managing their behavior effectively. A well designed routine considers the child's age, balancing physical activities, rest, and family commitments. By maintaining a consistent routine, parents can establish clear expectations for behavior, fostering a harmonious family environment where children are more likely to exhibit positive behaviors. If your child knows that, okay, so this is an example of a structured routine. For for a toddler, you'd have you wake up in the morning, you say good morning to your parents, you say your prayers, with your parents, you lay your bed, you go, you brush your teeth, you prepare for school, you have breakfast, you head off for school, you come back home, you take off your shoes, you keep them at the right spot, you take off your jacket, you go wash your hands, you say hello to every other person, you have your lunch, you have your dinner, you have your snacks, you do some activities, you say your prayers, you have a shower, you get ready for bed. That's just an example of a routine of a toddler and all that. So once the child is used to this routine, it helps them develop positively. To balance physical activities and family commitment. It further reinforces the need for the child to be better in that routine. It fosters a harmonious family environment where children are more likely to exhibit positive behavior. It gets them better at doing those routines over and over and over again. For older children and teenagers, involving them in devising their routine encourages a sense of responsibility and independence. So, as parents, you just don't want to tell them, hey, these are the lay down things for you to do, bah, 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 bah. One, two, three, four, five. Sometimes it's important to do those things, but on a regular, like on a consistent basis, it's better for them to be involved in devising these routines. And when they fail when they fail in following through on those routines, then as parents will not come and will not insist. We redefine those routines and insist on the normal things that need to be done. What we need to do as parents is set expectations for tasks and behaviors while granting them autonomy for children or teenagers to determine the timing and execution of tasks and activities. So, for instance, the teenager might decide, oh, they're so hungry, they want to have their breakfast before they brush their teeth. As long It's okay. They mustn't always brush their teeth before they have their breakfast. As long as they know that before they leave the house or before they do any other thing after breakfast, they need to know they have to brush their teeth. Brushing of teeth is part of the routine because they don't want to be a nuisance to other people around them. With your bad breath. So for teenagers, it's different. You don't have to be cast in stone. Hey, you must do this or face the consequence. No, you have to be flexible. For toddlers and younger babies, of course, that they need guidance. They need you to lay down the rules for them and say, hey, sometimes you need to be flexible. Okay, let's do this time. And that flexibility should come in only when you know that the routine has been imbibed in them. They know that this is the routine. This is norm. This is just a deviation from the norm. Still on nurturing environment, providing a nurturing environment. We'll be talking about encouraging independence and autonomy. This is a vital aspect of nurturing a child's development. While it can be challenging for parents, especially with anxious children, it's essential to provide opportunities for children to develop new skills by allowing them to take on age appropriate tasks and responsibilities. It's often too easy and can save time in the short run for parents to do things such as make a child's bed and make their packed lunch for school. You get, while there are occasions where doing these things is appropriate, e.g., example is if the child is not feeling well or if the morning routine is very rushed. Generally, it's important that children are doing tasks appropriate to their age and skills level for themselves. That is because children develop self esteem from accomplishing things, and in order to feel competent, they must have done something well. Sometimes some children feel that they're not good at anything, and this is because they're not doing anything at a level which is challenging enough for them. Or the task that they are being provided to do, the task that they're being asked to do is too hard and discouraging. Also, tasks that are too easy can lead to boredom and reduce motivators. So finding that balance is very important. That's where age appropriate tasks and the level at which, in as much as they're age appropriate tasks, remember we said that there are levels of different development. Some children or teenagers at the same age or age bracket, they develop differently. Some are faster, some are slower, some are just on the right spot. So you need to know, okay, is my child on the fast lane, just on point, or slower? Then you provide those tasks and to encourage them. Now remember, for you to train them on being able to resolve those tasks themselves, you need to use task analysis tools. This involves breaking down a task into smaller components in order to identify the steps required and the skill or knowledge needed to complete it. Then you can assess your child's abilities and decide whether the task is appropriate, and if so, what level of assistance is needed. Parents can provide appropriate level of assistance, ranging from directing the child to do the tasks independently to providing support while the child takes the lead. Offering this assistance within this range is more beneficial than completing tasks for the child without their involvement. When you encourage your children to take on tasks and responsibilities suited to their abilities, parents promote independence and autonomy, laying the groundwork for their future success and self reliance. Number four on nurturing environment is promoting a healthy lifestyle. Just as adults need healthy lifestyle, so do children need healthy lifestyle. So promote a healthy lifestyle for your family encompasses various aspects, including oral hygiene, dietary choices, physical activities. Let your children see you actually do these things. Let them see you exercise. You see them, they just replicate what they see. You see them actually doing the same exercises that you're doing. And if you feel healthy, if you have a healthy diet, you see your children doing those things. So the only way to promote healthy lifestyle is by you doing it yourself. Okay, don't do practice what I preach, not what I do. You see, children end up doing exactly what you do. They need to know that oral hygiene is good. They need to floss. You need to floss every time. Gum hygiene is good. Using your toothpaste, taking of your veggies, your whole grains. Those things are important, not just juice and processed juice and sweet and ice creams all the time. You can actually try to do some of these things yourself. Sometimes some of them are really easy. You can try to do them yourself. That way, you know what exactly your child is eating. And if you don't have the time, try to get those organic ones, those ones that are really you sure. Try to read the labels, what is written on them. Are they good for my child? Yeah, regular physical activities, really good. It's good for their physical and mental well being. Setting up a positive example and not be overemphasized. That way, you're further motivating your child to adopt a healthy and active lifestyle. Still on becoming better parent, number four is fostering emotional intelligence and self regulation. Oh my God, children these days are very petty. Have you noticed? What do you think is missing? This exact point, fostering emotional intelligence and self regulation. Your child's emotional intelligence is largely determined by the atmosphere that your family set in your home. As a parent, your both genetic and environmental architectures architect rather, and through your actions and how you make your child feel, you have the power to influence their emotional intelligence in ways that will stay with them throughout their lives. There are many things you can do to increase your child's emotional intelligence, but it all starts with you doing your best to increase your own. They need to see you do it. They need to see you being emotional intelligent. Then you see them imbibing it. They practice actually what they see, not what they hear most times. So, providing a loving and safe home and spending quality time with your kids is an essential beginning. But to truly be a useful guide for them in the world of emotions, you need to be attuned with your own feelings and how you manage them, especially during challenging times. This lays the groundwork for teaching emotional intelligence to your children. You need to understand your own emotions and behavior. You can better comprehend how they impact your children and influence their actions and moods. This level of self awareness serves as a cornerstone for your emotional intelligence and is an essential skill for impacting it to your children. A lot of children, a lot of children, they lack emotional intelligence. That's why they are swayed and they are easily misguided by the actions and activities of their peers. You need to let your child know that no means no and doesn't mean that you are not socially inclined with the social trend. It just means no, I don't want to do this. No, I don't want to smoke because I just don't want to smoke. But it's okay if you smoke. And it's okay if I choose not to smoke. It doesn't make me less of me. That's what we need to teach. We need to be instilling to our children. They need to know that a yes means a yes and a no means a no. They should not be swayed around by the emotional activities of other pairs, and they need to understand that whatever anybody says to them has nothing on them. It's okay for anyone to feel how they feel about them. Only thing that is important is your action, your child's actions. Did your child do anything wrong? If they have been able to self analyze themselves and they feel that their actions were right in every sense, then whatever anyone says or do or does has nothing on them. That way, we are building children, developing children that have great self regulations and strong emotional intelligence. Our children will not be petty, moved by what people say or the social trends. They will not be they will not be easily they will not be easy praised to cyberbullying. They will be strong in themselves and in who they are and what they know. Let's still dive deeper into fostering emotional intelligence and self regulations. We'll be talking about cultivating emotional awareness. Helping your child develop emotional awareness is a crucial aspect of their emotional intelligence. We need to use age appropriate language to teach our children to recognize and label their feelings whenever possible. We need to address emotions in the moment now, especially during conflict and challenging situations. No, don't move it to the back for a subject of discussion for the next time. No, in the moment you address those emotions. When your child faces a conflict or expresses uncertainty about their emotions, we need to guide them through identifying their feelings. Ask open-ended questions like, "How do you feel about what's happening?" If a child struggles to articulate their emotions, suggest different feelings and ask if any resonates with them. The process helps them build a vocabulary for understanding and expressing their emotions. We need to always remember that empathy should be directed towards our children's feeling when they are able, and if they are able to communicate this feeling, we should be empathetic towards them. We should validate their emotions by acknowledging and accepting them. Then we reflect back to what your child has expressed in a statement, reinforcing their emotional vocabulary and letting them know that it's okay to feel the way they do. For example, if your child is disappointed about missing a school event, you might say something like, "I know you feel really disappointed and that I won't be able to come to school for the assembly." That's a way for them to express how they feel about missing a school event. So, they're practicing emotional awareness and validation rather. You empower your child to navigate their emotions effectively and develop a greater understanding of themselves and others. Second point here is modeling healthy emotional expressions. Emotional intelligence encompasses various skills, including the ability to recognize and understand emotions, express emotions in healthy ways, regulate emotions to achieve goals, and support others in managing their emotions. Parents play a pivotal role in modeling healthy emotional expressions for their children. To begin with, parents should prioritize their own emotional awareness and understanding. While this may pose challenges for those from backgrounds where emotional discussions were very uncommon, it's a crucial step in fostering emotional intelligence. We need to learn to develop emotional understanding. Rather, developing emotional understanding involves introspective questions such as, what am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling this way? Is it okay to feel this way? And what are the consequences of my feelings? By engaging in self questioning process or self reflections, parents can enhance their own emotional comprehension and, in turn, better support their children in understanding their emotions. Moreover, Parents can demonstrate healthy emotional expressions by openly discussing their feelings and modeling appropriate ways to manage them. When faced with challenging situations, parents can verbalize their emotions and explain how they are addressing themselves constructively. This helps children learn by example and provides them with strategies for navigating their own emotional expressions. Sometimes my daughter gets to ask me, Mommy, are you okay? That's an opportunity. That's an avenue for you to teach your child how to better communicate their emotion, where you get to use open dialogue. This fosters an environment where feelings are acknowledged, accepted, and understood. By actively demonstrating healthy emotional expressions, we as parents empower our children to develop strong emotional intelligence skills, setting them on a path towards resilience, success, and overall well being. My third point on nurturing healthy environment is practicing self-care and and stress management. Maintaining self-care and managing stress are vital components of effective parenting. Physical activities emerges as a potent stress relief strategy, which research increasingly highlights its efficacy in managing stress and associated emotions. Just imagine combining exercise with time spent in nature. Oh, this amplifies its stress reduction benefit. Though parents often face challenges in finding time for such activities, however, integrating regular physical activities into daily routines, even in short bursts, can surmount these obstacles while also instilling in children the importance of exercises. When it comes to self care, it is paramount for parental well being and performance. We need to learn not to neglect our own self care because our children are learning. Sometimes when I do my makeup, my daughter just stands there watching me. She asks, Mommy, what's this for? Mommy, what's this for? What's the lipstick for? Mommy, okay, can I have some perfume as well? She knows that when you're going out, you can use a body spray, you can use a deodorant, a body spray, a perfume, because she has seen me do those things. While traditional self care practices like extended vacation may be elusive for parents, it's essential to identify restorative activities that are feasible within tight schedules, like restorative yoga for those that do yoga, mindful meditation, deep breathing, exercises, music, dancing, just relaxing to music. These are tools that would help with your self care, they will help to reduce stress, and in all, you're better positioning your child, your children for success. My fifth point on how to become a better parent is effective discipline strategies. I know some of you have been waiting for this point. Yes, we're going to talk about it now. Clinical analysis of the positive and negative effects of discipline on child's behavior demonstrates how discipline is effective in shaping a child's behavior. When discipline is consistent, relevant, and appropriate to the child's age, it enhances the child's internal locus of control, increases motivation and achievement, and shapes the child's behavior in an orderly manner. A punitive discipline that is inconsistent, irrelevant, or too severe or too permissive has the most negative impact on child behavior. Corporal punishment, such as flogging and caning, has consequently been linked with negative child outcome, including increased child aggression and antisocial behavior. On the other hand, a study has revealed that maternal use of reasoning and supervision leads to high levels of conscience in children. Focused disciplinary techniques that utilize reasoning and supervision are a part of what is known as inductive discipline and are considered the gold standard for parental discipline. Oh, I'm reading off something right now, so I hope you're able to grasp that. The above mentioned effects of discipline on child behavior, whether positive or negative, have implications for the child's development of self regulation and potentially lifelong patterns of behavior. Self regulatory behavior is dependent on the internalization of self imposed standards and rules. And good discipline promotes this by helping children believe that they are competent and capable people. In contrast, children with a history of ineffective discipline are more likely to have the external locus of control. So, ineffective discipline, I mean being punished excessively, being flogged excessively. You get and and believe that events in their lives are contingent on just luck and faith or on other people. This belief undermines achievement and is related to symptoms of depression in adolescent and childhood. Children who experience consistent negative discipline are at risk of developing patterns of behavior that are typically labeled as under-controlled or impulsive and are at risk of juvenile delinquency. It is clear that discipline has a large impact on child's behavior, and there are many strategies that can be used to discipline a child. Some are obviously more effective than others. So we're going to dive into them right now. Number one is consistency and fairness. Consistency and fairness are essential components of effective discipline. Fairness ensures that each child receives equitable treatment and is not subject to favoritism or unfair comparisons. Parents must monitor their own behavior to avoid unintentional favoritism. If one child has an easier time meeting the rules and is rewarded more often, this child may be the object of resentment from a sibling. When you compare one sibling's behavior or achievement to another, is detrimental to the children's relationship with each other and their individual self-esteem. It is almost impossible to avoid comparison at all times, but this practice should be kept to a minimum and used more to show an example than to criticize. Consequences for misbehavior should be proportional and consistent, irrespective of the parent's mood at the time. This means that a tired or angry parent will still enforce the same rules they would under their pleasant circumstances. And though this is difficult, it allows the child to respect the parent as a consistent authority figure. It doesn't mean that they can be no exception to the rule. It is sometimes difficult to make a discerning judgment on an issue, and an exception is okay if the child understands the reason. Consistency in discipline is crucial for children to understand and meet behavioral expectations. Parents often do not realize how much their inconsistency in rules and consequences confuses their children. If sometimes the behavior is ignored and other times punished, children are not sure what is expected of them. If rules constantly change, it is unfair for children to be held accountable to them, and it generates mistrust. We need to learn to keep the promises we make to our children. Unbroken promises are taken very seriously. The promise of a reward is outing outing rather must be followed through, and a threat of a consequence rather must be enforced. So if you tell your child you're going to spank them for a misbehavior, then when that misbehavior is done, get ready to spank the child. They need to know that what you say, your word is your bond, and that's a way of ensuring that is done. So once a promise is made, ensure you fulfill it. And once a spanking is promised, make sure you also do it. This is not to say that a parent should never change his or her mind, but if this is the case, the parent should explain to the child the reason for the change. Still on effective discipline strategies, we'll be talking on positive discipline techniques. Discipline techniques are aimed at focusing on the effect of children's action. There are several types of discipline techniques, and it is likely that the technique which were used on you as a child are the ones you reach for when you're feeling angry or frustrated. Using positive discipline techniques will encourage the development of a child's internal control and will encourage self discipline. It encourages children and is constructive. It helps the child to feel a sense of achievement. This is often brought about by praise and encouragement from significant others. Of course, like their parent, like you. This feeling of achievement and ability will lead to an increased likelihood that the good behavior will be repeated. It is through the use of positive reinforcement that children get to learn what's an acceptable and unacceptable behavior. This is often done at times when the child hasn't misbehaved. It involves catching them being good. Don't wait till when they misbehave, then you now want to talk. Catch them being good. Using logical consequences is also another positive discipline technique which can be effective. It is an alternative to punishment and allows the child to see the connection between their choices and the outcomes of these choices without damaging their self esteem. Do you want me to repeat that? Okay, so logical techniques, alternatives to punishment, and allows the children to see the connection between their choices and the outcome of these choices without damaging their self esteem. This form of discipline requires a lot of thought and consistency. When given a punishment, the child will often try to avoid it and therefore avoid taking responsibilities for their behavior. It is often more hassle for the parent, and on many occasions, the child will still not know what they did wrong. When using logical consequences, it's important to make the consequence related to the behavior and something which will help the child to reflect and make a better choice next time. For example, a child who refuses to put their toys away may have these toys taken away for a set period of time. The toys will be returned, but if the behavior is repeated, the consequences must be repeated. Now, when parents don't enforce passive discipline technique, sometimes what parents do in a bit of showing so much affection or overprotectiveness, what they try to do is to hide their children's inadequacies. What this does in the long run is making the children, which now are adults, right? The adults that were children, right? It makes them not to take responsibilities for their actions. What it does is it makes them to always see other people, fault other people, attribute the cause for the consequences of their actions to other people. I hope you got that. So we need to ensure that we are not repeating these things, these mistakes, and trying to ensure positive discipline techniques are being used. Thirdly, teaching consequences and responsibilities. Teaching consequences and responsibilities is essential in disciplining children effectively. Many parents do not realize that it is more beneficial to teach a child responsibility rather than attempting to control their actions. Teaching a child responsibility will teach them how to make better decisions. If you control their actions, they will never learn to think for themselves. So, children need to understand the consequences of their action to develop responsible decision making skills, thereby teaching them to consider the potential outcome before acting. They become less impulsive and more thoughtful in their choices. Here, we get to be good role models in teaching responsibilities. Children learn by observing their parents. I've said this over and over. So remember, children learn by observing their parent, not by what you say. So it's important for parents to practice what they preach. Consistency between words and actions will help children understand expectations and reinforce responsible behavior. Self discipline is also key to being a good role model. Parents who demonstrate self control and thoughtful decision making set a positive example for their children to follow. By embodying these qualities themselves, parents can effectively teach children to take responsibility for their actions and make wise choices. The sixth point on how to become a better parent is fostering a strong parent child bond. One crucial method in building a strong bond with your child is to spend quality time together. I think quality time has been mentioned in the past in the course of this podcast. So to talk about it here again cannot be overemphasized. Quality time, family time, it's very important in bringing of your child. Parents who care for their children are good at coming up with strategies to spend more time with them. Quality time often means time when parent and child are both in good mood, neither is stressed, and they're just spending time together. And remember, I said it differs for different children and different parents, and it differs with the mood as well because this quality time is also based on one's interest. So it has to be a planned activity or a trip you must have discussed with the child or whoever you want to spend it with, what activities you'll be doing. Okay, so a simple task such as cooking a meal together will provide positive results if you involve your child in it. So the most important but also the most difficult task once you become a parent is to build a strong bond with your child. This bond will play a pivotal role in their future. Studies have shown that children with a strong emotional bond with their parents are more likely to have healthy social relationship, and a well developed sense of self. On the contrary, children who have lost touch with their parents are at a risk for behavioral, emotional, and social problems, as well as criminal behaviors. Oh, yeah. So, you need to spend quality time together. That's the first point here. You don't have to be involved in a high level activity. You just need to pay attention to your child. It could just be folding the laundry together or talking to your child about something that is important to them or what they experienced in school. A strong bond between a parent and a child act as a buffer to help children handle their inevitable stress and problems they face in life. Children who feel connected to their parents will be more likely to seek you out when they are in need of help and act out less. For sure, I understand that many parents struggle with not having enough time to bond with their children. Don't feel guilty. In the numerous activities that parents are involved in, the work schedules that extend into weekend can be challenging to carve out quality time to spend with children. Some parents may feel that their children would prefer doing something else rather than spend time with them. However, by spending quality time with your child, you will be able to give them all the love and attention they need, enhancing their self esteem and build a strong parent child relationship. In essence, you need to make time for your children. No matter how little, every moment counts. And the truth is, your children, they would actually see the efforts you're making and commend you for it. Oh, they're very attentive as well. You just need to communicate with them. The second point on quality time with family, fostering a strong parent child bond, is engaging in shared interests and activities. This would help deepen the bond between parent and child, even if the interests don't always align. You just have to make the effort. Like I said, they see the effort, they acknowledge it, they would remember it. It's going to be somewhere in their piggy bank of their head or their brain or their heart. Yeah. Which in turn they pull those cards out and say, hey, mommy tried, mommy put in some effort, dad put in some effort today. If they know you don't like to play cricket, but they love to play cricket, and you make the effort to probably go see a cricket game with them, they would, oh God, they would love it. So you need to be open to trying new activities with your children and make them involved in that plan. Don't just be the one to say, hey, we're going to watch cricket, we're going to watch football, we're going to play hockey. No, let them be involved in it as well. Otherwise, there's no point. Just stay home. Anytime you have weekly, daily, is encouraged at least you do it weekly because consistency is key. If it is just dancing together or jumping together or being in the garden together, things as little as that, it mustn't be a financial burden or be financially intensive for it to be considered quality time. No, you could just play board games together. Thirdly, expressing love and affection. We've talked about positive enforcement, reinforcement. Now you have to express love to your child and affection. It's vital for building strong parenting bond no matter the history. If you haven't been accustomed to showing affection, don't worry, it's never too late to start. While you may face some initial resistance, persistence is key. Stay patient and continue your efforts. Both you and your child will benefit from it. There's some parents like they cannot show affection to their children by hugging them. No. It's just a military zone. Yes, sir, and that's affection enough. That was how they were trained. Please don't replicate that in your own family and in your process of raising your children. You need to show, be expressive, let them know you love them by your actions, remember that all of these things are ways to express love, so be sure to keep your child's feelings in mind while doing them. Always stay connected with how that child is feeling and receiving your attempt to show love and affection. Giving a kiss on the forehead, a kiss on the chin, a big hug, a scare from behind. You know, those are ways to show affection and love. Making their hair, plaiting their hair, going for a barb together, like cutting a haircut together. Going for a spa day together. Those are ways to show love and affection. But just touching hands, like carrying them, cuddling them. Simple but very powerful to express love and affection to a child. It brings healing from a bad day. And most times, parents even need the hug from their children. Verbal expressions of love, too, are equally important. Say, I love you to your child. Let them hear it over and over and over and over again. Tell your child you love them. Praise their effort and offer encouragement regularly. There's no such thing as too much affection. No, a parent's love lays the groundwork for healthy relationships in adulthood. So reinforce the positive aspect of your child whenever you can. So don't expect don't put your children in a situation where they haven't had someone tell them I love you before. No, you should be the first person to tell your child I love you. You should be the first person to get your children flowers during Valentine. You should create that habit, build the romantic culture. When verbally expressing love, rather, always try to maintain good eye contact. That will convey sincerity. Then remember to smile and place those gentle touches during conversation. Remember, verbal and non-verbal communication is the key here in reinforcing your bond with your child. And now we are on the final point, the seventh point on how to become a better parent. Continuously learning and personal growth. Continuous learning and personal growth. If you're still watching and listening, please click on the like button, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment rather. Let me know which of these points were lacking during your own childhood and what have you learned? What are you going to adopt? What are you going to inculcate? Were you a victim of sibling rivalry? Did your parents show you? Did they express love to you verbally and non-verbally? Let me know your situation in the comment section. Let's know how this has also impacted you. And please do not forget to share. It costs nothing. We are going to empower people to become better parents together by clicking on that share button and subscribing for more informative content. Okay, we're going to continue back to the seventh point on continuous learning and personal growth. Understanding child's development will help you understand what your child is going through physically and emotionally. Remember, developmental phases are very important. It takes nothing, just Google it up. What's the developmental stage and expected behavior for this age? Google is going to bring them up to you. You read it, you work with it, you run with it. This understanding will help you not to expect too much from your child. Many parents expect children to act more mature than is developmentally appropriate. When they do not, the parent may become frustrated and punish the child. We need to have realistic expectations of our children. This is going to help us to respond to our child in a developmentally appropriate manner. It's important for fostering healthy self esteem and self confidence. When you understand your child's development, it will help to understand the influence of peers and the culture of the time. Issues such as drugs, sexuality, depression, and eating disorders will affect your child. Knowing the normal development and the warning signs of normal behavior in these areas can make you better prepared to handle these issues when they arise. Information on how to help children with specific developmental issues can be found at the National Dissemination Center for Children and Disability. We're going to dive deeper on continuous learning, and the first subtopic here is seeking parenting resources and support. You have to continuously learn, relearn, unlearn if need be. Every parent's journey towards improvement is unique, so it's important to find the approach that resonates best with you, whether you are making subtle adjustment or embarking on significant changes. The key is to keep on moving forward and foster a sense of progress within your family. An example of this commitment of growth is seen in a story of a Japanese executive who, upon realizing he hadn't communicated much with his son since he was 3 years old, initiated a father son journal. He enlisted the help of a university student in early childhood education to facilitate the project, providing research on activities and assistance on father son dynamics over a decade. So you see, parenting is indeed a skill that requires learning, and many enter the role without formal training. Fortunately, there are numerous avenues of acquiring parenting skills. Books, articles, classes, workshops are often valuable insight, just like this insight and strategies. Some public schools and children and family social services agencies also provide parenting programs. Try to make effort to seek for good resources. Focus on materials that address your specific challenges, allowing you to find solutions tailored to your immediate concerns effectively. The second point I'm going to mention here is attending a workshop parenting class. It's very important. If you don't have the time to go into class, listen to parenting podcasts like this. There are a lot of YouTube on YouTube education. Improve your skills. The most important thing is you are learning. You're trying to learn. These classes help you understand children's needs, the learning abilities, their developmental stages, and it can be particularly helpful for parents who feel a little rusty on the specifics of children development. So remember, when choosing the class, don't move with the crowd. Look for a class that meets your specific needs. And don't go alone. Go with the other party. If you have two people, if you're both parents parenting the child, go together as a team and ensure you're properly enlightened on better ways to become better parents. The third point here is reflecting on your own upbringing and experiences. I think I should have put this as the first point. Thinking about your own upbringing can give you valuable insight into the ways you were parented and how this has influenced your feelings and attitude about parenting. We are all influenced by the way we were raised to a greater or lesser extent. Some of us find that we want to parent in a similar way to our own parents, while others feel that a different approach would be more suitable. Some parents feel that they are so heavily influenced by their own upbringing that they cannot be objective in their approach to parenting. By becoming more aware of how your own experiences have shaped your attitude, you will have taken the first step towards being able to decide whether there are any changes that you want to make. And this is a good thing. It helps to this increased awareness and understanding can help to break the circle of undesirable parenting patterns and help us to parent in a more proactive and conscious manner. Try to identify your feelings about being a parent. Sometimes our hopes and expectations for our children are a reflection of our own unmet needs and our desires for a second chance to achieve a dream. Becoming clear about what we are seeking for ourselves through our children is a big step towards being able to separate our own unfulfilled ambitions from that which is truly in our child's best interest. We also bring to our parenting a set of attitudes and beliefs about children and how they should be raised. Many of these are absorbed from our own parents or from more recent stories such as books or other parents. So we have to take some time to reflect on the attitudes and beliefs that underline our own parenting actions. Are they helping you to build a positive relationship with your child and bring out the best in him or her? Are they in line with what you want for your child? Or do you have a clear understanding of where these ideas have come from and how useful they are? Increased self awareness in these areas can give you greater confidence in your parenting role and make it easier to understand and work towards any changes that you would like to make. In conclusion, fostering a nurturing environment for children involves a multifaceted approach that encompasses various aspects of parenting, including creating loving and supportive atmospheres, providing structured routines, encouraging independence and autonomy, promoting a healthy lifestyle, cultivating emotional intelligence and self regulation, implementing discipline strategies effectively, fostering a strong parent child bond, continuously learning and growing as a parent, seeking resources and support, attending parenting workshops and classes, and reflecting on one's own upbringing and experiences. By integrating these strategies and approaches, parents can create an environment that supports the physical, emotional, cognitive development of their children, laying the foundation of a healthy relationships and positive outcomes throughout their lives, thereby making them better parents. Thank you for listening today. We've come to the end of this section. I hope you were able to pick one or two things. I hope you were able to unlearn, learn, and relearn new strategies to become that parent that you would want for your child. Thank you once again and have a lovely day. Do well to like, subscribe, and share this podcast to your friends and loved ones and your frenemies. And don't forget to leave a comment. Let's know how this podcast has helped you and how it has helped you reflect on your upbringing as well. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.